Outpost Helix 3 floated quietly at the edge of known space, far away from the noise of the major human colonies. It was small, peaceful, and almost forgotten by everyone except the scientists who worked there. Most days were the same. Calm research, calm nights, calm signals coming in from the stars. No one on the station ever imagined danger. No one carried weapons. No one expected war. Dr. Lien Miles stood near the wide glass window, looking at the beautiful blue mist of the nebula rim. She liked this place because nothing ever happened here. This was the last corner of the galaxy where humans still believed emergencies did not exist. But that calm day ended in a single heartbeat. A loud alarm screamed through the halls, sharp, angry, and nothing like the normal soft alerts the station used. The walls flashed red. The lights shook. The computers powered up every defense scan at once, even though the station barely had any. Everyone froze. Dr. Miles looked around in shock as the alarm repeated. Unknown vessels approaching. Unknown vessels approaching. Outpost Helix 3 had never received such a message before. Technician Vero rushed to the control table. His hands shook as he opened the long-range view. The screen flickered, then cleared, and everyone gasped. Dozens of ships were entering the system. Black ships. Sharp-winged. Silent. No signals. No ID. No attempt to communicate. They flew like hunters who had already chosen their prey. Vero whispered. Who are they? They're not human, not council, not any ally. Dr. Miles stepped closer. Run a scan. Full detail. Vero did, but the system struggled. Each enemy ship produced strange energy waves the computer could barely read. That was the first sign something was very wrong. Moments later, the unknown fleet stopped just outside Helix 3. They did not move closer. They simply hovered, surrounding the outpost like a circle of shadows. Then a message appeared, cold, metallic, translated automatically by the emergency system. Surrender the human genetic archive. Everyone stared at the words. Genetic archive? The outpost was a research station, but nothing they studied was secret or dangerous. They collected harmless samples from nearby planets. Nothing more. Dr. Miles said, This must be a mistake. We don't have anything like that. But another message arrived instantly, as if the enemy ships already knew her answer. Surrender the archive or be destroyed. Vero's voice cracked. We have no weapons. We cannot even send a proper response. Try, Dr. Miles said. Explain. She never finished. The enemy fleet opened fire. Light exploded across the station's windows. Energy beams cut through metal like hot knives through ice. The station shook so violently that people fell to the floor. Sparks flew from the ceiling. The room shook again, harder this time. Another hit landed. Then another. And another. The outpost was breaking apart. Scientists ran through the halls, shouting names, trying to find friends, trying to escape, but the station had no escape pods. No one ever thought they would need them. Dr. Miles grabbed the emergency communicator. She knew she had only seconds before the next blast destroyed them. Message to Central Command, she said. Unknown fleet attacking. We don't know why. The whole station trembled violently. The communicator fell from her hand. A huge explosion tore through the upper decks. Fire swept through the corridors. The sound of metal ripping apart filled the air. Vero pulled Dr. Miles up. We have to go. The reactor is unstable. They ran through the choking smoke, past fallen lights and broken walls. Every step was harder than the last. The station was dying around them. Another blast hit. Closer this time. The floor cracked open. Vero fell, pulling Dr. Miles down with him. She held onto his arm, trying not to let go. He looked up at her, eyes wide with fear. Save them. Send the signal. Before she could answer, the structure beneath him collapsed completely. He disappeared into a storm of flames and debris. Dr. Miles screamed his name, but only silence answered. Another explosion threw her against a wall. Her suit shield cracked. Her breathing became sharp and painful. She knew she did not have much time left. With the last of her strength, Dr. Miles crawled back to the emergency communicator. The control room was half destroyed. All screens were broken except one. She pressed the single working button. A small blue light blinked, signaling an active channel. She whispered, voice weak but clear, Outpost Helix 3, under attack, unknown species. They want something called the Human Genetic Archive. We don't have it. Please. Someone. Anyone. The ceiling began to fall apart above her. Fire rushed toward her. The air grew too hot to breathe. Her final words came out in a whisper. Please, help us. The communicator caught every sound. The message transmitted into deep space. Not to human command, not to regular fleets, not to diplomats. It traveled to a different channel. A channel locked behind security humans rarely touched. A channel used for only one purpose. A calm voice answered the broken signal. Message received. Target confirmed. The hunters are released. The screen went dark. Outpost Helix 3 exploded seconds later, disappearing into a burning cloud of metal and ash. The unknown fleet turned away, silent and satisfied. They believed the story ended there. They were wrong. It was only the beginning. Far from Outpost Helix 3, on a cold silent world of black stone, an underground chamber came to life. The walls glowed red as old machines opened, and massive steel doors unlocked one after another. This place was not on any map. No star chart showed its name. Only one human group knew it existed. The Hunters. Inside the main hall, a single man stood tall and still. He wore a dark combat suit marked with a white symbol, 3 sharp lines crossing each other like claws. His face was calm, unreadable, almost cold. He was known only by a call sign, Ghost Line. He looked at the message flashing on the holo screen. A single sentence repeated. Outpost Helix 3 destroyed. Unknown species attack. Request response. Ghost Line did not blink. He did not speak. He simply stared at the words as if studying a target. Behind him, the rest of the hunters walked out of their sealed chambers. They moved with quiet discipline, no wasted motion, no fear in their eyes. Some were tall, some short, some heavily armored, some sleek like shadows, each one built for a different type of battlefield. They were not an army. They were a pack. A pack humanity only released in true danger. Hunter callsign Rift stepped closer. Is the signal real? Ghost Line nodded once. It is. His voice was deep and steady. Helix 3 is gone. The room fell into a cold silence. Rift lowered his head. They attacked civilians, scientists, people with no weapons. Hunter Shade, the quietest of the group, tightened her gloves. Who would do that? Ghost Line turned toward the center table. A hologram of the enemy ships appeared above it. Black wings, curved frames, long glowing engines. But the screen showed no species name. No translation. No data. Nothing at all. Ghost Line said, We have never seen these ships before. Shade frowned. A new enemy? No, Ghost Line replied. Someone hiding. Hunter Breaker, the strongest of them, slammed his fist lightly against the table. Not in anger, but in focus. They wanted something called a genetic archive. Why? Ghost Line looked at him. Because they fear humans. The rest of the hunters exchanged glances. Fear humans? Everyone feared humans a little. Yes. Humans were tough, adaptable, unpredictable in battle. But this attack, this was different. This was clean, planned, direct. Ghost Line walked closer to the holo table. The red light reflected across his armor. Helix 3 was a test. Rift narrowed his eyes. A test of what? Our response. Quiet filled the hall again. Not fear, never fear. Just the stillness before violence. The hunters stood in a half-circle around their commander. Each one waited for his next words. They were trained that way since childhood. Discipline first, action second. Ghost Line finally spoke. We follow the trail. We find who attacked us. And we end it. Breaker smiled in a cold way. Good. I was getting bored. Shade asked. Where do we start? Ghost Line touched the holo panel. A star map expanded, showing the outer systems. The unknown enemy ships had left a faint trail of strange energy behind, almost invisible, but the hunter's scanners detected it. Ghostline pointed. Here. A dead system near the border. Rift raised an eyebrow. You're certain? Ghostline answered in a calm, sharp tone. I'm never uncertain. The hunters prepared quickly. Their ship, the Razor Wind, waited in a deep underground dock. Unlike normal human ships, it was built for speed, stealth, and silent killing. Its dark hull absorbed light. Its engines made almost no sound. Once inside, they suited up. Ghostline checked every weapon with precision. Shade loaded her silent rifles. Breaker strapped heavy armor on his arms. Rift sharpened the blade on his wrist. The engines hummed softly. The Razor Wind lifted from the ground and rose through the camouflaged ceiling. Moments later, it shot into space, leaving the hidden world behind. As the ship cut through the starfields, Rift spoke softly but seriously. Ghostline, this enemy feels wrong. They attacked like they already understood us. Ghostline did not turn. His eyes stayed on the star map. Yes. So they studied humans first? Yes. Shade's voice was low. Then this is not a random attack. Ghostline finally looked at them. His next words chilled the entire cabin. This is the return of something old. Breaker leaned forward. Old like ancient war enemies? Ghostline nodded slowly. Old like a wound humanity never healed. The Razor Wind approached the border system. The stars outside the window dimmed as a thick cloud of dust surrounded the ship. It felt like flying into a graveyard. Shade zoomed her scanner. Something ahead. Small station. No power. No signals. Ghostline ordered, prepare for contact. The ship slowed and hovered near the station. The hunters entered through a cracked airlock. The inside was dark, silent, and filled with scorch marks. Clearly, a battle had happened here, but not recently. Rift found a broken console. This was an alien outpost. Breaker looked around. Where are the bodies? Shade replied softly, there are none. Someone cleaned this place. Ghostline stood at the center of the ruined hall. He closed his eyes for a moment, listening to the silence. The floor had drag marks, wide ones, as if something large had been taken. Then he opened his eyes. They were covering their tracks. Rift swallowed. So Helix 3 was only step 1. They're hiding the rest. Ghostline nodded. Then the station shook. A distant humming noise filled the air. Lights flickered. Shade quickly checked her scanner. Her eyes widened. Ghostline, something is coming. What is it? He asked. She looked up slowly. A warship. Not theirs. Something bigger. Breaker grinned. Finally. Ghostline stepped forward as the sound grew louder. The hunters had woken. And now the enemy would learn the cost. The hunters stood inside the dark alien outpost, waiting for the strange echo to reveal itself. The humming sound grew louder, shaking dust off the ceiling. The metal floor vibrated under their boots. Something massive was approaching. Breaker placed his hand on his heavy armored fist. This better be a real fight, he muttered. Shade checked her scanner again. The readings were unstable, jumping wildly. It's bigger than anything we've seen in this region. Ghostline's voice stayed calm. Positions. The hunters moved fast, each taking their place without hesitation. Even in a dead station surrounded by unknown enemies, not one of them showed fear. The humming grew louder, deep, heavy, like a giant heartbeat echoing through space. The alien station shook again. A blast of blue light cut through the darkness outside. Rift looked through a cracked window. His eyes narrowed. Warship approaching, but not theirs. Ghostline stepped beside him. A colossal vessel appeared through the fog. Long, sharp, covered in black armor with red energy veins glowing across its hull. It looked like a beast from some forgotten galaxy. Shade whispered, "What kind of ship is that?" Ghostline answered slowly, "Not their fleet. This is stronger, older." The new warship stopped just outside the broken station. A beam of light scanned the area, passing over the destroyed control panels, broken walls, and the hunters themselves. Breaker cracked his knuckles. They found us. The ship sent out a signal, a strange clicking language none of the hunters recognized. But the station's damaged translator managed to pick up a rough meaning. Identify yourselves or be erased. Rift smirked. Friendly bunch. Ghostline did not smile. He walked to the center of the hall, activated his helmet's voice link, and replied in a calm tone. Hunters of Earth. Identify yourselves. For several seconds, nothing happened. Then the warship spoke again. Earth. Confirmed. Do not resist. A massive claw-like docking arm extended from the warship and clamped onto the ruined station. The walls shook violently. Dust rained down from the ceiling. Shade loaded her rifle. Whatever comes through that door, I'm ready. Ghostline raised a hand. Wait. With a loud hiss, the main door of the station tore open. Bright white light flooded the hall, forcing the hunters to shield their eyes for a moment. Then figures stepped inside, tall armored soldiers with long helmets shaped like blades. Their armor glowed faint red, the same color as their ship. Breaker whispered, Great! New enemies! One of the armored soldiers stepped forward. Its voice was deep and sharp. Your presence in this sector violates our warning to your species. Ghostline's eyes narrowed behind his visor. What warning? The soldier tilted its head. Do not expand. Do not build. Do not evolve. Shade muttered. What kind of warning is that? The soldier continued. Humans were allowed to live only if they stayed small. Your outpost broke the rule. Rift stepped forward. We didn't even know you existed. The soldier replied. That was the point. Another soldier added. Your destroyed outpost was a message. You were meant to fear it. Breaker laughed coldly. Well, now we're here. And we don't do fear. Ghostline stepped closer, calm as ice. Your fleet attacked civilians. You want a response? You have one. The alien soldiers raised their weapons. Long spears with glowing tips. Stand down, humans. You are outnumbered. Shade lifted her rifle. We like those odds. In that moment, the entire station trembled again, this time from the Razor Wind's arrival. The hunter ship appeared outside, engines blazing. It locked its weapons on the giant warship. Ghostline didn't need to give a command. The hunters attacked. Shade fired first, a silent shot that hit one alien soldier directly in the helmet. The creature fell without a sound. Breaker rushed forward like a storm, slamming two soldiers against the wall with a single strike. Their armor cracked like thin glass. Rift moved like a shadow. His blade flashed, slicing through another enemy before the creature could even react. Ghostline stood in the center, moving with deadly calm. He grabbed a glowing spear, twisted it out of the soldier's hands, and used it to pin the soldier to the wall. The alien warship reacted instantly. Its docking claw tightened. More soldiers poured inside, dozens of them. Shade jumped behind a fallen console and fired rapid shots. They just keep coming. Breaker smashed another soldier. Good. Let them. Rift leaped onto the wall, flipped down, and cut through two soldiers at once. Too slow. Ghostline remained unshaken. Every move he made was clean, precise, lethal. The alien leader shouted. Humans were meant to stay controlled. Ghostline grabbed the leader and slammed him onto the floor. Not today. The leader tried to rise, but Ghostline pressed a boot onto its chest. Who commands you? Ghostline demanded. Who sent the fleet that destroyed Helix 3? The alien leader hesitated, armor dented, breath slowing. Ghostline tightened his grip. Answer. The soldier finally spoke. We obey the Coalition of 9, your oldest enemy. Rift froze. Shade stopped firing. Even Breaker looked shocked. The Coalition of 9. A name humanity had not heard in thousands of years. A name buried in secret history. A name mothers once whispered to their children as a warning. Ghostline looked down into the alien's eyes. Then we know where to strike first. The leader hissed. You cannot reach them. Their empire is. Breaker finished the sentence with a punch that knocked the soldier out cold. Rift stepped closer. Ghostline. The Coalition is real. That means this is a war. Ghostline looked at the stars through the broken station window. His voice was calm, but beneath the calm was something far more dangerous. No, he said softly. This is the beginning of the hunt. The broken alien station drifted quietly after the battle, its walls cracked and floors covered with fallen armor. Smoke floated through the corridors. The hunters stood among the wreckage, breathing steady, watching as the last sparks faded. Breaker kicked a fallen spear aside. That was fun. Shade exhaled slowly. Fun isn't the word I'd use. Rift sheathed his blade. They weren't normal soldiers. Their training was tight. Their armor, advanced. This coalition of 9 must be powerful. Ghostline gave a short nod. They are. He walked to the wounded alien leader still lying on the floor. The creature was barely conscious, its red armor dimming, its breath ragged. Ghostline knelt beside it. You said the coalition commands you, he said. Where is their base? The alien opened its eyes just enough to glare. You cannot reach it. Humans cannot cross the silent zone. Rift whispered. Silent zone? Shade frowned. Never heard of it. The alien coughed, a deep metallic sound. It is space where no species travels. No signals escape. No ships return. Ghostline's eyes narrowed. And that is where the coalition hides. The alien gave a weak smile. You will die before you reach the edge. Ghostline stood, calm and unmoved. We'll see. Breaker cracked his knuckles. So we're going into this silent zone. No, Ghostline corrected. We're going beyond it. Shade raised an eyebrow. There's a beyond? Everything has a beyond, Ghostline replied. Even fear. The hunters gathered around the holomap Shade projected. The silent zone appeared as a massive circular region with no star routes, no colonies, no stations, just darkness. Rift pointed. This area is dead. No signals. No light. Nothing. Breaker smirked. Perfect hunting ground. Ghostline moved toward the exit. Prepare the razor wind. We leave now. Moments later, the razor wind shot away from the ruined station, leaving the broken remains drifting in silence. Inside the ship, the hunters sat around the central table. The holographic map displayed their path, straight into the darkest region of the galaxy. Shade typed on her console. Ghostline. I'm detecting strange energy pulses. Like distant echoes. Ghostline responded. Not echoes. Warnings. Rift leaned back in his seat. Who leaves warnings in empty space? Someone who fears what's inside, Ghostline said. Breaker grinned. We don't fear it. Shade glared at him. We probably should. The razor wind accelerated, slipping deeper into the dark region. Stars faded behind them. The space around became thick, almost heavy, as if the darkness had weight. Rift looked out the window. This place feels wrong. Ghostline answered. Good. That means we're close. The navigation lights dimmed. Shade checked her screen again. We're losing outside sensors. Everything past 200 meters is invisible. Breaker laughed. We're flying blind. Ghostline corrected him. No. We have instincts. Then the ship jolted. Once, hard. Rift jumped to his feet. What was that? Shade's hands flew across her controls. I'm not picking anything up. No ship, no asteroid, nothing. Another jolt rocked the ship. Breaker grinned. Something's testing us. Ghostline stood and walked toward the cockpit window. Space outside looked like a black ocean with no surface, no bottom. Only shifting shadows moved through the darkness. Then one shadow stopped. Shade whispered. Something is out there. A massive faint shape floated beside the ship. Too large. Too silent. Too still. Then it vanished. Rift whispered. I didn't even see it leave. Ghostline turned back to the team. They know we're here. Who? Shade asked. Ghostline answered with a calm voice that carried more weight than shouting. The real enemy. The razor wind kept moving, but the darkness grew stranger. The ship's lights flickered. Strange whispers echoed through the hull. Soft vibrations, Not words, but tones that pressed against the crew's minds. Breaker paused. Tell me someone else heard that. Shade nodded slowly. It feels like something brushing against the ship. Rift's hand hovered over his blade. We need visual. Ghostline stared forward. We won't get one. The whispers grew louder for a moment, then stopped all at once. Silence returned, deeper and more unnatural. Shade swallowed. Ghostline. This doesn't feel like space anymore. No, he said. It feels like a trap. Just then, alarms flared. Shade's console turned red. Unknown object forming ahead. The fog parted, and a gigantic structure emerged. A tower of black steel, floating in the void, covered in glowing lines and shifting symbols. Breaker's eyes widened. That's not a ship, Rift whispered. It's a fortress. Shade zoomed in. No, not a fortress. A listening post. Ghostline stepped closer to the screen. An old one. Breaker looked at him. Old as in ancient? Older, Ghostline replied. As the razor wind approached, more symbols lit up on the tower's surface. Then a single beam scanned the hunter's ship. Shade tensed. They're looking for us. Ghostline looked out the window, calm as stone. They already found us. The tower pulsed once, and something woke inside it. A shape, long, thin, and sharp like a blade, slid out from the tower's base. Then another, and another. Shade's voice trembled. Ghostline. Ghostline stared at the forming shapes. The Silent Zone's guardians had awakened. 3 colossal ships turned toward the razor wind. None of them looked alive. None of them looked mechanical. They were something else. Ghostline spoke softly, but his voice cut through the air like ice. The coalition isn't hiding. He turned to his team. They're watching. The 3 ships powered up energy beams. Breaker cracked his fists. Finally, Shade loaded her rifles. We're outnumbered. Rift smiled coldly. Good. Ghostline stepped forward. Hunters, prepare for first strike. The galaxy had always believed humans were dangerous. But now, for the first time, they finally understood why. As the broken survivors of the attack floated inside the command hall of the Cthar base, tension crackled like lightning in the air. The room was silent, too silent, until the human warship outside released another deep metallic growl that vibrated through the walls. It wasn't a normal engine sound. It felt like a beast breathing. General Rethak's scales trembled. Commander Vela whispered, "We attacked the wrong species, didn't we?" No one answered, because everyone already knew the truth. Suddenly, the holographic screen flickered back to life. For a moment, only static filled the display. Then, slowly, shapes began to form. Not human shapes. Hunting masks. Metal fangs. Cold glowing eyes. The faces were not soldiers. They were predators. Everyone in the room froze. These weren't normal warriors. The galaxy had legends about them. Stories told in frightened whispers. Stories about humans who didn't just fight. They hunted. They chased their enemies across planets, across space, across entire empires, and they never stopped until the last threat was gone. The screen sharpened, and a calm voice spoke. This is the human hunter fleet. Your species attacked unprovoked. We are coming. The message ended. Silence returned, but it was a different kind of silence now. A heavy one. A dangerous one. Rethak looked at the others, but none of them could speak. The hunter fleet. The galaxy believed it was a myth. But myths don't send warnings. The lights inside the base flickered. A moment later, the alarm screamed again, this time louder than before. Intruder detected. Breach in Level 3. The officers turned pale. The outer doors were sealed. The hangars were locked. No ship had entered. No landing had been detected. So how could something already be inside? Commander Vela grabbed her sidearm. They're here already. How are they here already? Rethak swallowed hard. Humans always find a way. The 2 guards near the hallway stepped back as the lights dimmed to a faint red. Shadows stretched along the walls like claws reaching for them. The sound of slow, steady footsteps echoed through the corridor. Not fast. Not rushing. Slow, deliberate, confident. As if the intruder knew no one could stop them. One of the guards raised his weapon with shaking hands. Identify yourself. No answer. A moment later, something slid across the floor. Metal, scratched, old. A hunting tag. And on it, a symbol burned into every mind. The mark of Earth's deadliest hunters. Rithak felt his chest tighten. Why would they send them? Vela whispered. Because this attack wasn't small. Humans lost something. And hunters protect their own. The footsteps stopped right outside the command hall door. The guard shouted again, voice weak. Turn back! Silence. Then a whisper drifted through the crack beneath the door. Pray! The guards fired instantly, but the door burst open in a single strike. A tall human figure stepped inside, wrapped in dark armor that absorbed light instead of reflecting it. Their visor glowed faint blue. Their movements were silent. Too silent. One guard shot again. The shot never reached him. The human twisted aside with unnatural speed, grabbed the guard's weapon, and tossed it away like a toy. Why are you here? Rithak asked, forcing courage into his voice. The human turned slowly, studying him like a predator studying a wounded animal. We are here, the hunter said, because your people killed civilians. You attacked a colony. You broke our peace. Vela stepped forward. We didn't know. We didn't mean. You knew enough, the hunter replied. You fired anyway. The hunter stepped closer, and everyone in the room felt their legs weaken. Not because of fear. Fear was too small a word. This was something deeper. Something primal. The hunter raised a small device, pressing a button. A map of the galaxy appeared, full of red marks. Dozens. Hundreds. Human ships. These are not warships, the hunter said. They are hunters. And all of them are coming. Rithak gasped. Why so many? The human's voice became cold as ice. Because you crossed the wrong species. Before anyone could react, the hunter activated a second device, this one connected to the entire Kthar network. Every Kthar ship, every base, every station, hijacked. You will transmit one message, the hunter said. A warning for the rest of your empire. Rithak whispered. What warning? The hunter leaned forward, visor glowing brighter. Run. The screen shifted to black. Somewhere deep in the base, engines ignited, human engines. The galaxy's deadliest hunters had arrived. And they were only getting started. Because this wasn't revenge. This was a hunt. The message spread across the Kthar Empire like wildfire. Run. One word. One warning. One promise. Within minutes, panic exploded in every city, every station, every outpost the Kthar controlled. Civilians rushed into shelters. Soldiers scrambled to battle positions. Commanders shouted orders that no one could follow fast enough. But deep inside their hearts, they all knew the truth. There was no running from humans. Not now. Not anymore. While the Kthar Empire panicked, the human hunter fleet moved with terrifying precision. Their ships didn't fly like normal vessels. They moved like shadows, silent and impossible to track. They jumped between systems without warning, appearing and disappearing like ghosts. Inside the hunter flagship, Captain Mira Hale stood in the center of the command bridge. Her face was calm, but her eyes burned with cold fire. They attacked our colony, she said. They killed families, our people. We end this before they try again. Her officers nodded. These weren't ordinary soldiers. They were hunters trained from childhood. Warriors who studied every species. Experts in tracking invaders across galaxies. Now they were unleashed. Back at the Kthar War Council, chaos ruled. They're taking out outposts faster than we can report them. Where are they attacking from? How do they move so fast? Why didn't the galaxy tell us humans were like this? General Rithak forced himself to stand tall, but fear sat heavy in his stomach. He had seen a human hunter with his own eyes. He knew what they were capable of. Stop trying to guess, he said firmly. Humans don't fight like us. They don't want territory. They don't want slaves. They want justice. The room went silent. A young officer asked, voice shaking, "Then what are they doing now?" Rithak closed his eyes. "Hunting." The first true attack came at the Vora system, a heavily defended Kthar zone with 4 battle stations and a fleet of 30 ships. They believed it would hold. It lasted 6 minutes. When the human hunters arrived, their ships didn't fire huge lasers or giant missiles. They used precise, surgical strikes aimed only at weapon systems and engines. They didn't kill civilians. They didn't destroy homes. They only destroyed the ability to fight. A Kthar captain screamed over comms. "They're disabling everything. Our guns, our engines, they're gone." Another shouted, "I can't track them. They're everywhere." Then the final message came, shaking all who heard it. "They're boarding us, one by one." Silence. Across the Empire, high-ranking officers began hiding classified documents. Some tried to activate ancient defense systems. Some even tried to contact other species for help. No one answered. No one wanted to join a war against humans. The galaxy had always known what humans were capable of. The Kthar simply learned too late. Back at the base from Part 5, the lone human hunter, still inside the Kthar facility, had not left. Instead, he moved through the dark halls like a shadow. Every soldier who tried to stop him was defeated without a single fatal blow. The hunter never killed unless he had to. But he made sure every soldier knew exactly one thing. Resistance was pointless. The hunter reached the deeper control level where a giant energy core glowed. Commander Vela rushed in, blocking his path. "You don't have to do this," she cried. The hunter tilted his head. "Your people started a massacre. We are ending a threat. This will destroy our outposts. Innocent lives." The hunter pressed a command on his wrist device. "Your civilians are safe," he said. "We already evacuated 2 worlds before our attack began." Vela froze, stunned. "You saved them." The hunter stepped closer. "We hunt enemies, not children." Every Kthar screen blinked at the same time. A message appeared. Not from the Kthar Council. Not from a leader. From humans. A calm, cold voice spoke. "This is your final warning. Surrender your weapons. Stand down your armies, or the hunt will not stop." Then the screen changed to a star map. Every glowing point marked a Kthar military base. One by one, each point turned red. Commander Vela whispered in horror. "They already found all of them." General Rithak felt his knees weaken. The hunters knew everything. Every outpost. Every ship. Every secret location. Humans had mapped the entire empire in hours. The message ended with one last sentence. "You crossed the wrong species." The galaxy watched, breath frozen. Humanity had not declared war. Humanity had declared a hunt. And the Kthar Empire finally understood. The deadliest species in the galaxy was coming for blood. The Kthar Empire had faced many enemies across the centuries. Pirates, war tribes, dark fleets, rogue machines. But nothing prepared them for humans. Because humans did not just attack. Humans hunted. And now, the hunt had reached its final stage. Inside the Great War Chamber, the council gathered for what might be their last meeting. The holographic table showed the entire empire. Outposts, red. War fleets, disabled. Defenses, offline. Cities, surrounded. "Are there any systems left untouched?" one counselor whispered. The answer came slowly. "No." Another asked, "Where are the humans now?" General Rithak replied, voice low, "They're already here." Everyone looked at him in fear. Rithak continued, "They took every outer system without killing civilians. They disabled our fleets. They boarded our stations. This is not war. This is punishment." Commander Vela added, "And they are closing in on our homeworld." The room fell silent. Even speaking was difficult now. In the darkness of space, the human hunter fleet appeared above the Kthar homeworld. Thousands of ships, large, small, sleek, black, glowing only with faint blue lights, formed a massive ring around the planet. No weapons fired. No threats shouted. Just presence. Their ships hung in space like silent giants. Watching. Waiting. Judging. Inside the Hunter flagship, Captain Mira Hale stood at the command deck. "Send the message," she said calmly. A signal flashed across every Kthar device, every screen, every radio. "This is your last chance. Lay down your weapons." On the planet below, soldiers marched through streets, building barricades, powering up ancient defense cannons. Civilians hid in shelters, praying to old gods. Soldiers spoke in whispers. "Do you think they will spare us? They spared the colonies. Maybe. No. Not after what we did." But something strange happened. All across the sky, every human ship powered down its main guns. Lights dimmed. Weapons folded in. Engines calmed. It looked like the fleet was relaxing, as if they had no fear at all. This terrified the Kthar even more. Only predators that felt no danger did this. Dozens of human dropships descended through the clouds. They landed without firing a single shot. The doors opened. Human hunters stepped out, silent as shadows. Their dark armor gleamed. Their visors glowed cold blue. They didn't act like conquerors. They acted like judges sent to pass sentence. General Rethak and Commander Vela stood waiting, surrounded by trembling soldiers. One of the hunters walked forward. Tall, calm, slow. It was the same hunter from Part 5. The Kthar soldiers raised weapons instantly. The hunter didn't even react. He simply said, "Lower your guns." The order wasn't loud. It wasn't angry. It was simply absolute. Rethak lifted a hand. "Stand down." The soldiers slowly lowered their weapons. The hunter nodded slightly. "You made a terrible mistake," he said. "You attacked civilians. You broke an ancient rule of the galaxy." Vela whispered, Are you going to destroy us?" The hunter paused. Then, slowly, he shook his head. "Humans don't destroy entire species. That is not our way." Relief washed across some faces. But the hunter wasn't finished. "However," he continued, "we do not let predators walk free." The words chilled everyone. A giant hologram appeared above the landing field. It showed every Kthar warlord, every general, every officer who approved the attack, every commander who fired on the human colony. The hunter pointed at the projection. "These names," he said, "will be arrested. They will answer for their crimes." "And the rest of us?" Vela asked quietly. "You will rebuild," the hunter replied. "You will learn peace. And we will watch you." This wasn't a threat. It was a promise. Across the planet, Kthar soldiers dropped their weapons. Cities opened their gates. War leaders sent surrender signals. The Empire stopped fighting, not because they were defeated, but because they finally understood. Humans didn't just win battles. Humans changed the galaxy. As the hunter turned to leave, Rethak called out, "Why didn't you destroy us? After everything we did?" The hunter stopped, looked back and answered, "Because humans don't start wars. But we always finish them." He walked into the dropship and disappeared. Moments later, the entire human hunter fleet vanished into the stars. Silent, efficient, unstoppable. The galaxy whispered for generations about that day. And one truth echoed louder than all. They crossed the wrong species. And the deadliest hunters in the galaxy answered,